to see everyone today, and I hope all's going well. Again, I'm just trying to save us time, really. So I was introduced to this idea, I don't know, in the 90s, but the same approach I used for everything else tried to apply itself to this. And it was like that story about the coyote sniffing around the desert tortoise, wanting to get that meat, but the desert tortoise is sucked in and he's not available. So the coyote gets bored, really, and frustrated and splits. That's basically really the first phase of non-duality, in a sense, in hearing it in time, is an incredible disillusionment and a rude awakening. And and actually something that your head would avoid like the plague really lands, and you realize you're not going to get it. Yeah, you're not going to get it as what you're not. And you can't transcend an imaginary place. You can't get out of what you're not in. And finally, these things, instead of provoking more effort and more this and more that, there's just like a disarming effect. It finally lands, and you realize, like that the story we used to use with Heaven's Door, and Paul keeps knocking on the door, and every time God answers, Paul says, "Can I come in?" And God says, "Paul can't come in." Now, finally, Paul gets washed up near that Heaven's Door, and something happens, and he knocks on the door. Of course, God's there immediately, opens it up, and he says, "Can I come in?" And God says, "Paul can't come in." And then there was a walking in, because the whole point was, when he was hearing everything as Paul, he took it as a personal failure, or you're disqualified because of Paul. And in a weird way, that Paul hadn't done enough, or didn't sit longer with the teacher, or kissed the feet, or walked around the temple site, or whatever. But it usually has to do with more. But the whole point was, God was just stating a fact. Paul can't come in because there is no Paul. Yeah. Jim can't come in. Mary can't come in. Now, Jim, Mary, and Paul, if the message is heard that way, is quite disappointing for Jim, Mary, and Paul. Sometimes they'll re-up their game, but then other times they just say, screw it, and they just go out and get loaded and whatever, because it's just that programming of self, wanting to get out of self, is not an AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It doesn't grow in an understanding of how crazy that statement is. It just keeps trying to get out of self. That's all it does. It's not going to listen to any kind of evidence. So it's best just to, jump ship before it sinks, so to speak. So this message is really about questioning the seeker, yeah, with very little emphasis on the sought. So, because from this view, the seeker, unbeknownst to it, is the sought, yeah. Now we just have to get around the idea of the seeker and have the message land at the sought, and then the sought sees the seeking and sees an insane, ludicrous activity, and it just hopefully laughs a lot, and then there's a dropping away. Yeah, it doesn't push anything away. It just sort of sloughs it off like dead skin. And all those misunderstandings that you were trying to build a transcendence or an enlightenment or an awakening on sort of just fall apart. Yeah. They don't need to be replaced with any new understanding. The real understanding is about the misunderstandings. Once they're corrected, the understanding has value, but it's really the vision. It's the being the message, not really understanding the message or hearing the message. It's being the message. Yeah, as Ramana said, the great mystery is reality, wanting to attain reality, being ourselves reality. Yeah. So, I mean, basically, if the statement, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, why would that be directed at you if you're not the Buddha? I mean, why would someone lay that message on you if you're Paul or Jim or Steve or Mary? Yeah. So there's a recognition of something that we're not in a state of recognition of, because we're trying to recognize it as what we're not. We're using what we're not to try to recognize what's so, which always just uses what's so as a reflection of what you're not. It just, the idea of God and the knower of God, most of the emphasis is on the knower of God. It's not on God. Yeah. So this idea that the Buddha, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, is not meant to be heard by Paul. It's basically, it's trying to bypass Paul and get to the Buddha, so to speak. And when the Buddha hears that, it basically, a correction occurs that wasn't even needed, because everything was just appearing to be so. Nothing ever really happened that needed to be undone. It's just all an act of appearing to be true when it ain't. Yeah. And so when that collapses, when the truth beam is taken out of that foundation, the house gets shaky. Yeah. So that's how it happened with me, in a sense. I was listening to message of non-duality as I listened to every other message, but this message did different things to me, to that conditioning. It brought out these understandings that were just taken to be true, and they were brought out into a light, not Paul's light, which is reflective or bouncing off of something else, but a light. And something was seen that I never heard before. Yeah, and it became like an unspoken yes, and it felt like a knowledge before knowledge, and in time I've seen it as the last answer, which is an incredible answer. Yeah. Most answers lead to more questions and then more answers. This answered, I remember that moment that I knew that I would never ask a question again. I was sitting in some tent in Tiruvannamalai, listening to some guy sharing, and it just became, that book closed. It just closed because I saw, just in this condition, I mean, we need them in Zooms, but in this experience, that was over. Yeah. I mean, I saw that drive to know was another act of obscuring. Yeah. The fact of being. Yeah. The head would much rather know something than be something, because it's always taking itself to be something already, which it's not. So it doesn't want to, it loves to join up in the, in becoming something, but it doesn't want to be something. Yeah. It's just a little too much, too quick. If it could grow in understanding and sort of slip in there, it would probably be okay. But if it's just, you are what you're looking for, like right now, it's not prepared for that. It just doesn't. That's like a rush of uncertainty to the system. It doesn't like that. So yeah, it may, and especially if it could take lifetimes, it's very happy to sign up for that. Yeah, because it'll keep looking for what it is all day. With a great assurance it's never going to find it. So therefore the looking goes on and on and on. Yeah. I mean, you ever notice, like, if you were sitting in meditation and, the head was sort of active and feelings and stuff, and then there would be you'd enter sort of like a zone, and that's when you had to get up. That's when, oh, I left the oven on, or something happened. So as long as you were working toward the moment, you were all in. But once you seemed to arrive at the moment, the first thing you wanted was to get up. You wanted to get out. Yeah. That's pretty telling. Yeah. So the message is simply that you're it. It's not going to be verified by the story of you having feelings. It isn't. Yeah. because feelings aren't going to stabilize. They're not. Yeah. The fact that you're not the feeler can stabilize, but feelings aren't. Feelings are going to happen. Yeah. Thoughts are going to come and go. Experiences are going to occur. Some contracting, some expanding. Yeah. That's going to keep going on. But the stabilization isn't in that. It's in the fact that you're not the feeler or the thinker or the doer or the haver or the loser. Yeah. And that a lot of what we're hearing in one's head has nothing to do with volition. It's mechanical. You're not doing it. You're not thinking that way. You're not feeling that way. Something is telling you you're feeling that way. Yeah. But you are not feeling that way. Yeah. So, yeah. So there you go. I'm here just to keep reasserting it. It's sort of like a cod salesman. That's all I go for. Yeah. There's a lot of fish in the sea, but we're only selling cod. So you can grill it. I don't care what you do with it, but I have a feeling you got to take a look maybe. Yeah. So there you go. I hope, yeah. I hope at least you get that feeling I'm attempting to express. It's a feeling of telling the truth or have the truth be told about that aspect of what we're not looking for what we are, and having that be seen. And as soon as it's seen, it looks the same, but it switches. The emphasis now goes on what you are, seeing what you're not, looking for what you are. It's completely different, but it's just, it looks the same, but if you're in one sense, it's completely different than the other. Yeah. So the idea that you can't get out of an imaginary place. Hopefully these things start, the cryptic logic of it makes sense, because the mental logic is completely illogical, because its logic is that which comes after is before. Yeah. So the idea of Paul as an action figure, which is manufactured, yeah, comes after, yet it's implied to be before. Now, that there's a logic in that, but it's an insane logic. It's like a bizarro world logic. It's sort of like, the cart in front of the horse. Yeah. So is it true? It isn't true. That which is implied to be before is always after. Yeah. It can't hide that. Yeah. What it does is it implies something that's not true. So when the action has been claimed by the mental activity and you're pronounced as the actor, that actor, the feeling of being the actor has a historical weight, and you feel like you've been the actor for a lot of other actions. Yeah. That's not a true revelation. That's manufactured. That's a manufacturing. Yeah. That which comes after, which is you as a noun, is implied to be before, which is you as the doer of all the doing, the thinker of all the thinking, the feeler of all the feeling, the seer of all the seeing. It's just that simple. Yeah. So do you want to go into the hallways of knowledge down the fifth corridor and the four staircases? Why not just see this? This is sort of like, if you don't see it, you're going to be looking from it. It's just that's that simple. Yeah. If you don't see the after from the before, you're going to be looking from the after as the before. So everything that happens, you'll have a lot to do with it when you don't. Yeah. I mean, why would you want to start in that hole? Yeah. Where all the digging just makes it worse in a way. It just reinforces the lie. Yeah, in a sense. That's it. I mean, if something was not happening and you responded to it, wouldn't that be giving it a relevance of happening? Yeah. So because you're the dreaming of the dreaming, you're giving everything all the meaning it has. You could say that you're lending reality all day to things that are not real. Yeah. Yeah. And as a bounce back, you get a sense of being real. Yeah. So I make the world of things the dominant reality because I'm a thing in seemingly the world. There you go. Yeah. Now I want to have all the qualities of a non-thing, but as a thing. Yeah. I don't want I don't want the fact of what's completely stabilized, which is what I am. I want stabilizations of shit that come and go. I don't want to have any bad feelings. I want to just be like this. This is all wishful freaking thinking. Yeah. You're wishing for volatility, which is the nature of that which is coming and going, to become stable and stay. And then the shit that you don't want it to stay always stay gone. Yeah. It doesn't, that's insane. The freedom from the actions is at the point of the actor. Yeah. That's where the freedom lies. You'll have a complete different take on the actions that are coming through you when they're not being done by you. You'll travel lighter through it. Yeah. You'll be able to make an amend immediately if your action figure steps on another action figure's toes. Yeah. You won't move out of state to avoid the person. You know what I mean? Move to fucking Europe because, it would just be, hey, I'm I screw up quite a lot. I've screwed up. There you go. I'm aware of it. I hope it didn't do that much harm, and I pledge to be willing to have it change. Yeah, there you go. And move on your day instead of I should have known better. Who says that? After all the evidence that I haven't never known better, why should I have known better this time? Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, so there's an acceptance. The atmosphere that I'm in is in an acceptance atmosphere. Like it has the back and the front doors open, things come and go. Yeah, it's not, and it's not moving towards some final crescendo. Yeah, like every moment is a stepping stone to a better, bigger moment. I don't see it that way. I just see, it's just what's happening. And when all's said and done, you go to bed, the Etch-a-Sketch gets shook up, and then it's new lines the next day. It goes on and on and on. Yeah. So yeah. I really feel like we are as an activity, a mental activity, we are a misunderstanding, trying to understand. That's the insanity. Just see that you're a misunderstanding and leave it at that. Yeah. Why waste time trying to convince that which is misunderstanding to understand? It just doesn't work well. You know what I mean? Well, why would I want to keep talking to the dreamt and saying, you're dreaming, you're dreaming? It doesn't get it. The dreamt is a proclamation of forgetting it's dreaming. That's what the dreamt is. Why are you going to try to beat it into it when it's completely, its whole activity is to go against that? It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it will begrudge, that Paul could be absent, but it still wants to be there to experience it. It just doesn't. Yeah. So I felt like so much stuff that demands from its own relevance that it needs to be undone doesn't need to be undone. You can just step over it. Yes, it's just going on. It doesn't have to be, I've got to address every freaking thing. No, you don't. Yeah. Yeah. They dry up like tributaries when they're not fed. Yeah, they do. You don't have to dam them and try to direct the flow. They'll just dry up from lack of interest. Yeah. Yeah. Who would have thunk? So, all right. Anyone likes to share or jump in? Let's have a rousing evening. Yeah.
And Patrick, I think, was new too. So I think we mixed up two people.
Oh,
Welcome,
did
Patrick.
we? They're really mixed up now, so don't worry.
I'm new. Good to see you.
All right. So who?
No hands up.
The new people are probably in the best condition of all of us, anyway. Yeah.
I'll go. I don't think I was in the best condition. I was a philosophy teacher. And I believe I was the worst case. I believed in all of it. And I thought every time I wrote something or whatever, I thought salvation is in here somewhere. It's funny how the compass is always pointed towards salvation, regardless. But then I had, about a year ago, is like a scene in Die Hard where everything blows up, like my marriage and my everything, just one explosion after another. And then the pandemic was going on. So when I'd get up in the morning in bed and I'd feel like I woke up in a gutter, it was one of those kind of things. And I decided, I don't know why, I didn't want to kill myself, but I decided that I would just see what was actually happening. I didn't know any of this stuff. I had run across a couple of names you're probably familiar with, but it didn't mean anything to me. As a matter of fact, I had met someone that you've probably heard of, and my impression was a kind of repugnance. I thought my impression was, God, this is a man who's murdered himself. And so I sat with it, and I started feeling happy. It's weird. I couldn't explain it. I mean, it was Patrick, it was me, because I didn't know anything about any of that. And then I started listening to things, again, names you would know. And I kept getting lost in all the details, all the observation upon observation upon observation. It starts to feel very obsessive, just compiling all these observations. And I came upon you about a week ago, and this door kind of opened for me, which was, what about Patrick? And I had forgotten all about Patrick, and Patrick had been running the whole show. And things started happening very quickly, and I'll shut up in a moment, but things started happening very quickly because once I kind of started paying attention to Patrick, Patrick became like a 6-year-old kid in a room that's being ignored. He's on the furniture, and now he's doing cartwheels, and now he's hanging from the chandelier. Next thing, he's going to be breaking the furniture. And I used to dread it. Oh my God, there's that mean or selfing. I call it mean. There's that selfing again, that selfing. And then just this morning in my meditations, I thought, gosh, I wouldn't mind seeing some of that selfing, because it is kind of a pattern to it. It is kind of repetitious. It does repeat itself a lot. It's like a 6-year-old kid. You get to expect what their moves are. They only have a repertoire of so many mischievous things. And yeah. I've been happy all day. Of course, I have to say, even though my whole life exploded a year ago, because I did nothing about it in practical terms, this is becoming one of the happiest periods of my life. It makes me think of like when I was 6, and there was that piece of just stuff happening, and I'm a part of it, and the smells and the sounds and that sense of the moodedness of place, which is okay, right? It can be a haunting mood, can be a happy mood. It's all okay. It's all interesting. It's all appealing. And I don't know how long it would have taken me to get there listening to all the names you probably know, because I was lost in the details. And I wanted to thank you. I came on tonight because I thought I'd like to see the man in real time and extend real gratitude to him. So thank you.
Well, let's close the meeting now. On that note, thank you. That's very nice. It's always humbling because I feel the exact same way to something that's moving through. Yeah. I've always felt a boundless something about it. I just rather feel it. I don't really want to name tag it. Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm just happy this door worked for you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Anyone else, Mike?
Thanks, Patrick. Yes, Miles.
Miles.
Yeah, our new friend Miles in Vancouver.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Miles.
Miles from Vancouver. Thanks for your share, Patrick. That was really interesting. I backed into a lot of this stuff from quantum field theory, my interest in David Bohm's work and philosophy. And Paul, similar to what Patrick said, the way you are articulating this was different than what I'd heard before. And when I start, thinking about it, cause and effect often comes into this. And this is one of the ways that I can notice differently in terms of my mind tricking itself and claiming is it just seems so apparent to me that our brains are wired up as these prediction machines that like to tell stories in this cause and effect way, so and it's really cool when you just say, well, hey, we travel lighter, things happen, there's movement all the time. And by the way, you can take a break from taking endless snapshots and splicing them together to make up a story of you and what's happened. And if this wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have done this. And, it just makes no sense once I was able to see a little bit more, the way you put it. And that may be helpful to people, just notice language. Just when I notice the way I speak about things, it's like, oh, okay, I'm putting together a story based on this series of snapshots and cause and effect. Well, when I would go on nature walks with my kids, we would move slowly and we would stop, and they would wonder why we were stopping. And I would just say, okay, now let's notice what's around us. We don't have to move our bodies. Let's just move our eyes, and we'll look up at the sky. We'll look down at the dirt. We'll look around. And I would say, we could stay here literally for an entire lifetime and just notice, and things would keep changing. Things would never be the same. So it's this movement, Paul, that I appreciate you talking about. It's just so fluid. The refresh rate is like, we just cannot even describe it. And there's so much freedom in just not knowing, So I appreciate the way you put things, Paul. Thank you. And by the way, let me know if I'm off base at all with anything I've said.
No.
Correct course here, maybe.
You have yeah. One thing I've learned, it's never really what you say. Yes, it's the feeling. It's like that old statement, what you are is speaking louder than what you say. Yes, hopefully that's what happens, because that what you are is that unchangeable movement of all the changing and moving. Yeah, that awareness of yeah. See, when you see things coming and going, just like if you see the sunset, yeah, it's a living picture, obviously. You catch it, and then 5 seconds later, it's different. And it's just mind-boggling, really. And you see how everything is fleeting, yet that one constant in all of those appearances and all the movies and all the films is the screen. Yes. And we are of the screen and we are in the movie, so to speak. Yes. But as Jesus says, supposedly he said it, we're in this world, but we're not of this world. So we're in this movie, but we're not of the movie. We're of the screen. Yeah. And we have the great joy of peering into the movie. Yeah. What the head would like us to believe is that we are in the movie. And what the fuck's the screen? Basically, you know what I mean? There's only the movie. There's nothing, yeah. Even though that would mean in this event of duality or dualism, there would have to be the movie and the screen. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. There couldn't just be a movie. There would have to be the movie and the screen. That's what makes it all. Yes, it's this two-ness in manifestation, so to speak, or how it appears. Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. Now, so yeah, I love that. We have a beautiful backyard where we live, and you can just get lost in like 1 foot of it. You just sit there and see what's happening because it's all more stuff's going on, whatever level you want to focus on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. And this idea, if you wanted it formalized, the way I heard it formalized was through Wei Wu Wei. Yeah, and that was called negation or the negative way. Now, Wei Wu Wei was tough riding, man. There was a lot of concepts, but the feeling captured how how non-duality was moving me on the, let's say, the game board. And then it gave an anchor to sort of fit the message around. Yeah. And then that's been the way it's been now for since then, because I really truly believe that if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from it. Yeah. And if you don't see this, you're going to be looking for what's seeing. That's basically what's going to happen. So, or seemingly happen. So here we are. There is going to be a looking for what's looking, but it's not you, thank God. Yeah. You disown the property rights of shit you have nothing to do with. Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah. It's very relieving. And you don't know it. You don't know, like if you were constantly moving at all times, you wouldn't know it until you stopped. Yes. You wouldn't. You would just think that was stopped, that moving all the time. So this is what occurs. There's a lot of things that seem to move this activity called Paul. And when some of the major currents stop, it's quite revealing. Yeah. And you really know the quote unquote problem from the solution. Yeah. And it's a lot of reverse engineering occurs. You see something and then it tells you why you weren't seeing something. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. We did it last night. I do another talk for another group, and just to bring it down to, is the seer essential or is the seeing essential? Yeah. Can there be seeing without a seer? Or can there be a seer without the seeing? Yeah. Obviously. Yet, if you listen to what we listen to all day, usually, the emphasis is on the seer, even though it's not essential. The essential aspect of this event, if you want to call it existence, is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Yet the mental interpretation is emphasizing the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. How could things go wrong? It's just, you know, what happens? What happens when the seer and the seeing get emphasized? The seeing gets unnoticed, yes? Yeah. Yeah. To the point we think that we're going to find it while we are it. It's just, it's insane. So I feel like some people think this isn't simple. I think it's quite simple, because there are, in the dreaming, which a large aspect of dreaming is facilitated with time. Yeah. There's movements that produce this momentum. Yeah. And if you can see the movement, you can see what it's based on, and you see a fallacy in it. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're not moved by it as much. Yeah. Yeah. And then at that point, you're seeing it from what you are. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Paul, would you agree with it's been written about and talked about, but the way you describe things, it seems to fit that by the time it shows up in my awareness, by the time it shows up as an event, it seems to have already occurred. In other words,
Yes. Yes.
It's noticed after. So
But
whatever.
that's not your awareness. You could say maybe it's your sentience or conscious.
Well,
But
my metacognition would be.
awareness doesn't take any time to be aware. Yeah. Yeah. So something, the programming is on a time delay. Yes. 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 Yeah, for sure. Because you're getting an interpretation. Yeah. The brain, as the Course in Miracles says so beautifully, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Yeah. So the brain is interpreting the light or whatever's coming in, and it interprets it. And it takes a little bit of time to interpret it. Yeah. So by the time you get it, it's a little cold already. You don't know what it was, but now it's been given a name and a form, and there you go. You're off and running. So basically, you're like at the takeout window of life. You don't get it right out of the stove. Something spits in your food and then gives it to you. You don't know what's going on between it coming out of the oven and then coming through your car window. A whole lot of stuff could have happened. Yeah. 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 This is the truth. You just tell the truth about that, and then you get a different sense. You do. Yeah. You don't sit out on a course to change that programming. You just see it from not from the programming. Yeah. There's a hugeness of us. This idea of Paul is like a little pimple on the head of a pin, so to speak. You know what I mean? It uses a lot of like a maelstrom energetic movements, so everything just revolves around this idea of Paul. But there's a whole lot of us that's not in that flow. Yeah. Yeah. So it's called the innermost, the beloved, the unsuspected resource, the God within, Brahma. There's tons of things, but all of those pointers are to something that's always available at all times, everywhere, and with no time needed to arrive there, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't take any time to access what we are. It takes time to access an interpretation. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why it's fun. The interpretation's best quality is its comedic value. Yeah, because not everyone has the same interpretation. So if like some of the great comedians are just observers, aren't they? They just observe what's going on, like Woody Allen and Seinfeld, and they just give you a different take of the same interpretation, and it's funny. There's the value, yeah. Before, so if life is like old cold by the time you get it, it has another use, which is comedic relief. Well, look at, go read, Hafiz and Rumi, yeah? And what they can imply with words is unbelievable. Blows your mind, does it? Yeah, blows your mind. I mean, that's just like high end of, yeah. And then they, knowing what they knew, they deemed to call it the beloved, yeah, because it was a wonderful way of making an artistic presentation. Yes, that's beautiful to me. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. I think of jazz music that way as well, or a symphony.
Yeah.
You take a bar of music or something in a jazz piece that just seems all discombobulated, but when it's sort of put together in a certain way, the wholeness of it makes it what it is.
Yeah, and no matter how far it always goes back to the basic theme. Yeah. Even though it looks like it's lost, it's never lost. That's the point here. Yes.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and never finished either.
Of course not. Yes, you can always add and subtract notes for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do here. We're like this is jazz, verbal jazz. Yeah, we've got one theme and we just riff on and on about, and hopefully you get back to the point. I hope. People are probably hoping I get back to the point faster, but it just goes off. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, what is the thing that have the topic that you have the most to say about is the unsayable. That's the challenge, yes? How to say what can't be said is a challenge, yeah? How to use a very crude form of communication, and you're not doing it, something is, and get a message across, yeah? Not, and like the words are like the booster rocket on the rocket. They're not the payload, yeah? They just get it there, and then you're hearing it, and hopefully having this thing saying it produces something that the words can never do, yeah? Like communication. Yeah, it's awesome. So, well, thanks, man. Nice to see you again. Yes, Miles. Yeah.
Thanks, Miles. And David, oh, you put your hand down. You still want it up?
Yeah, I took it down because Paul moved on a fair way, but I just had stuck in my head his comment about getting stuff through the drive-through and wondering what the hell's in it. I've been buying a Macca's coffee every morning through the drive-through for about the last 5 years now, and I'm quite a bit worried about what was in it. I should have been going in. That was just a ripper way of putting that. Yeah.
Good to see you, David. Yes.
And no other hands up.
Yeah, I don't know how to put my hand up, but I wanted to say something to Paul anyway. This is Robert, or met it. Yeah, I wanted to thank you as well, Paul. I really enjoy the way you phrase things. I mean, it's refreshing, and especially like living in what's not happening. And, the party sucks because I show up, and it's just so different and so refreshing. And there's a lot of BS in the non-duality world, And Paul, you just kind of cut through all of it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes. There's a lot of shit in dog shit awareness, but it's not bullshit. It's dog shit. It's DS. Well, yeah, I sort of got caught by, I would have had to, if I thought this seat assignment was ordained, I would have had to have gone through a lot of redoing, get some nice contacts, super blue and shit, get my voice modulated, try to get this Long Island accent out, which is impossible. And yeah. But no.
You got to get the flowers behind you too. So.
Huh? Oh, the
You got to get the flowers
yeah.
behind you.
Yeah. Have a picture of someone who if they showed up, they'd have no idea who I was. But somehow I'm affiliated with them. That's pretty good. Yeah. Do you know the guy behind you? No, don't have a clue. Just one of the props I found. Put it there. Yeah. I have a good one in the garage. It broke though, but we would do the Zoom, and I had Jack Nicholson breaking through the bathroom door in The Shining. Here's Johnny. That was my lineage. That's pretty good. So, Mike, anybody else?
Yeah, although I wanted to add, when he repeated your phrase, I just had an image that a Zen bitch slap initiation could be that you have to go to a party, and when you get there, shout, "The party sucks now."
That's right. That's right. That's right.
James.
Right before you open the door, there's tons of anticipation. As soon as you open the door, it sucks.
James J is up.
Hey, Paul, why would you ever want to get rid of a fantastic Long Island accent? I love it.
I've tried to. It's impossible. I went to a linguist, and they just threw up their hands. They can't reverse. They had me saying "darling" over and over and over to try to change it, but they refused. Yeah. Darling, darling.
It was a great place to grow up, though. Really, I enjoyed it.
Long Island?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Levittown.
Oh, Levittown. Oh, yeah. I was in Rockville Center, which wasn't such a great place.
Yeah, you told me.
To grow up. I found out quickly I had magnetic appeal to people in uniform as soon as I started to drink at 12. Yes. All right. That's it.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about, I was reading something about neti, which is, that's kind of more or less what an overall of, or very similar to what you're teaching, right, Paul?
Well, no, not in a way, because we're questioning the sense of the one who thinks they're going neti. Yeah. So we would use neti, but in another way, because you can go not this, but that which you're not will stand alone. Yeah. You'll never get the neti of the neti.
Well, because that was my question. I'm like, well, what do? You just go, not this, not that thought, not that person, not this thought, not that,
No, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is get the feeling of it. Maybe you may need it in the beginning, but this doesn't demand maintenance or vigilance. You are that, yeah? It basically doesn't demand anything. So, no, the neti, I would, more important than the neti is, well, who is it that's using the neti? Right. Yes, because that's not you. So, yeah. Yeah.
So to get the feel of it, when you, instead of saying netty netty, say, who's this who wants to say netty netty, and then realizing that that's not really who you are.
Well, just say, who is it? Who is it that's being claimed by the netty netty? Yes, there's someone that thinks that they're doing it. The netty netty. Yeah, that's the
Like,
head.
like right now, I could say, who's thinks that they're talking to Paul right now.
Yes, exactly. But that's that could go. That can get a little weird though. So I wouldn't do it often, but every once in a while. Yeah. The
But
point is,
is there like a method or a way to sort of approach, how you go through the day? Or to like, because you said get a feel for it. Like, how would you get a
oh
feel?
no, not um. Maybe there was things I did in the beginning, but there's nothing I do now. So, but I don't know where I am. That's not. It's not like I'm in a celestial place. I just don't care where I am. I don't. I've lost interest in it. So, but that's why Ramana, I felt, he sat around in silence, and then he realized people weren't getting it, so he broke down and brought back something from the Vedas, the self-inquiry. And so he would say, when you're feeling like you're moving of the speed of the mental state or whatever, ask who it is, or from whence does everything come? And then that would bring you back into the vicinity of actually where you are, and rest there. And then if something seems to move you away, ask who is it that was moved away? Because obviously you've never been moved away, nor have you never been moved toward if you're everywhere, right? There's no away or toward in everywhere. So yeah, you can use it or whatever. But the point of, I feel, self-inquiry is to use one aspect of selfing to ask who is it, the other aspect of selfing, so they both get negated. Yeah. Yeah. And then when there's that whack of, hey, they're just appearances, there's something there or nothing there. There's a yeah. When your two aspects of you disappear, there's something here. Always. Yeah. So you come out of that realizing the mental pecking order has this two aspects of selfing as the policeman and the thief, this primary and the secondary, but you are way, way before and beyond that. Yeah. Yeah. And you get a feeling of that when the two aspects of selfing negate, there's, yeah. Yeah. You see how, like, the attention has been on these mental ideas, but the attention's fallback setting is panoramic. Yeah. You just feel like a whoosh when it's not these two, not the observed and the observer. Yeah. Not the sort of thief self being observed by the policeman self. Yeah. The selfing. Yeah. Those two are focusing, there's attention being focused on those two. When there's a negation, that attention just fills up the space, so to speak. Yeah. You're not attending to a thing at that moment. There's an attention of no thing, let's say. It's a different, and it makes a big impression. You don't need, maybe you only need one, maybe you need 10 or 15, but probably life will have them in store for you. Yeah, because again, like Ramana said, your head is in the tiger's mouth. It's already a done deal. Yeah. This is just, mental hanky panky, so to speak. The fact is, we are that. Yeah. We don't get there by that. We get there by having never left, by seeing what you're not. Yeah. Seeing what you're not doesn't start a new journey to what you are. The seeing what you're not is the epicenter of all journeys to what you're not. Yeah. You see that, there's one of the senses of seeing it is on having never left, that, you know, nothing's ever happened. It's always been this way. Those things come over you when you recognize what you're not. Yeah, they do. And they may seem fleeting, but they leave a lasting impression, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to find the before. You just have to see the after that's masquerading as the before. Yeah. Because you're seeing that from the before. Yeah. There's no need to find the before. You just see the made up after that's implying it's before. You see it. It's an activity. Yeah. It's not blocking anything. It's just an activity. What occurs is there's a lot of attention and interest being focused there. Sort of it becomes, instead of centered attention, it's self-centered attention. So it's focused on this mental idea. And then once it enters that gravity of that mental idea, then all the laws of the mental idea start applying. Yeah. So now time has a lot of influence. You're only seeing things. You don't sense really. You can't see the space. All this starts occurring. So it's self-supporting once you're in the orbit, so to speak. Yeah. So like in AA, people in recovery are extreme examples of an obsession of self. Yeah. So they're really sucked into that orbit. So they're at the point, it's better not to hear a talk. It's better to do service so that that attention and interest gets pulled out of that habit. Yeah. And goes back out into the panoramic, so to speak. Because that's where the real messages lie and come to you from, is the panoramic. And the messages really negate the myopic. Yeah. They negate one thing. They're not saying the myopic isn't happening. They're not, it's what it means when it's claimed is not true. Yeah. So there is a feeling, but there is no feeler. There's no argument with what's happening. The argument is on about this little add-on. So that there's always has to be a noun involved in any verb that ever happens. That's just an insane mental logic. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Any other hands want to go up? Jacob. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Paul.
Jacob.
Hey. So I got a few kind of playful ideas, but I first want to say thanks for, recommending Wei Wu Wei and the Via Negativa. I don't know if Mike passed on that we put together a little ZBS curriculum at the Metaphysical Library where I volunteer. So yeah, a lot of it inspired by you. And we had one of your books there, Escape from Everywhere, Escape from Nowhere. Yeah.
Escape to Everywhere. I don't know. I don't remember.
One of those. It was in the psychology section, so I had to remedy that.
It's in the psychology section.
Oh, yeah. Something I've been toying with lately was perhaps this view could be also called something along the lines of trans-solipsism, whereas solipsism, like, we believe that the world is a figment of our imagination, and yeah, that's almost true, but also the you is a figment of itself.
Yes.
In a sense.
Usually what they miss, they omit the obvious.
Right. So the imagination is even a figment of itself, so that cancels it out like that.
Yes. Yeah, it's sort of like the lady, I've lost an ego, but everyone else's ego is bothering me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. This is what happens. Yeah. This Ramana captured it by the image of a guy sitting in a movie theater and recognizing life is just appearing on a screen, but there's an assumption that he's real, seeing that life is appearing on a screen. So Ramana says the dreaming always has you included. You never out of the dreaming.
Right.
So when there's a proclamation of you saying it's out of the dreaming, that's dreaming.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's, I'm the only piece of dreaming that ever escaped the dreaming. That's dreaming. Yeah. What does it do? It all brings about like a permission, just the fucking stop, you know? Yeah. It's something that we would, you know, maybe we needed it when we were a kid. Like I would be doing something and I'd look at my grandma to give me an okay or not to continue. Yeah. Maybe we're looking for like something like that. We got a crazy activity playing God and we're bereft of possibility and we're trying to win over a permission just to be fucking okay for a few seconds. What an insane situation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is I used to call it the biggest hook. You and I are always the biggest hook. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, there's been a lot of falling and things opening from that with the action figure. The seeking of permission, believing you don't deserve the permission. Yes, this weird fucking dissonance that goes on. Yeah, and it's just a form of slavery, you know. It's just crazy. So now I don't get gypped, you know. I'm just here,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, completely here, and day, night, sleeping, not. Yeah, and yet my whole life was really based on trying to get out since I've been 6 years old, pretty much. You know, I just wanted, for some reason, I had a strong urge to split, to get out of here.
Oh yeah.
And whatever I could come across that would help that, I got into big time, big time, to a level of addiction. And I learned a lot from failed systems.
Hmm.
And they show you they failed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of an imaginary place. It's impossible. I don't care. You can get the strongest rocket at all. It has nothing to do with breaking through the atmosphere. It's no atmosphere.
Mm.
You're not in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always very happy to know you, Jacob. And yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
too, Paul. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave you on this. A couple of the Zen koans have been playing with my head recently, and there's the one: if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? And it's like, of course it makes a sound. There was never anyone there to hear it. There was never anyone there to hear any of the trees fall in the woods. And the other one, what's the sound of one hand clapping? It's like it's the same as the sound of two hands clapping. It's just there was never two of them. There was never two hands.
There wasn't a hand any. It was just clapping.
Yeah, there you go.
The hand wasn't doing it.
Right.
Jacob, I don't want to have to send a team to get you out of there. We don't want you to go under. All right. Remember, dog shit awareness. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. The highest you can get is the curb.
Down. I've been curb stomped.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
All right, Jacob. Thank you.
And I'm glad you mentioned trans-solipsism, because there's actually a great little book by a philosopher that came up with the term egocentric presentism. It's the same idea.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Yeah, report back.
Will do.
Get on it, Lieutenant Jacob. Get on there. Yeah, bring back the information. What
And
was
then
that name anyway? You mean solipism? SOLIPSM?
PSI solipsism? I think it's
Yeah.
solipsism, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Trans
Yeah, I've heard
solipsism.
of
But this
Yeah.
would be trans solipsism. Like,
It's like
This is why a lot
Pennsylvania.
of them get stuck in that thing. They see everything except they're not included in it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so it's sort of like this is what I have a little trouble with seeking knowledge, because what's ever studying can't be studied. Yeah, you can never get before that which is before.
Mhm.
There,
Yeah.
there's actually a good movie, or an interesting movie, pretty dark. I saw kind of an appropriate title along these lines, First Reformed, because Ethan Hawke is a minister, and it's really a good knowledge, where he's like conveying to somebody who has despair over environmental degradation, right? That he really is sure is a good reason to be in despair, right? And Ethan Hawke, reveals to him that the blackness supersedes all the particulars of this time or any other time, whether it's doesn't have to be environmental degradation, World War II, or poverty, whatever, right? That the person's going to have a bottom of blackness, and that's what he was trying to convey. But Ethan Hawke, I would say, wasn't questioning what assumes there's blackness, that kind of black, right?
Yeah.
So the darkness of the movie, that still is the failure, is still there to witness.
Well, it's yes.
But First Reformed, that's important.
But if you did get to that point, it would be like a very short. It would be like 30 seconds. The movie would be over.
Right.
And for the people that depend on selling popcorn would be out of work, and so on and on. So
well, yeah, I never know.
Effect.
Like, I rarely have ways to express my gratitude, but that's like one example. Is like I can watch movies again now as examples of what I'm not, what we're not, right? Whereas before it'd be like trying to live up to the message of the movie,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge thing for me.
I know, bro. I'm happy. Yeah. You're yeah. All right.
Oh,
Anyone
David.
else, Mike, out there?
Yeah. David has his hand up too.
David B.
David Bitterman, yes, with the no hat now.
Go ahead now. I'm indoors now. It's warmer. Okay. Yeah, just a random passing thought, Paul. Just listening to you guys talk. You talk about seeing the failed system, and over time the attention naturally withdraws from it. And I mean, in your experience, because the failed system itself has kind of, you talk about a time delay, it's got a little bit of a throw on it, right? And it's got a hypnotic quality, like identifying with its processes as self is got a kind of hypnotic quality. When you talk about seeing that and the attention falling, you said you sort of withdraw attention from it naturally, but that's really a falling away of attention as you see it over and over again. Is that correct?
Well, falling away, but the attention is still attentive. It's just not attending to that.
Right.
Yeah. So attention can be attending nothing. Probably easier than attending to something. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, see, that's part of the fun, so we never try to describe where the interest goes. It moves away from. That's all I think is necessary. You'll find out for yourself. Yeah. Which is really that's the intimacy of this event. Yeah. That you'll know it in your own gut, and not as an understanding that was passed along. The understanding is is there just to sort of play the role of a crutch until other things get in. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't know that the big migration would be a loss of interest. I didn't see. So the feeling of, I didn't lose interest in the need to be liberated. Well, I did, because I'm not that which needs to be liberated. That's what happened. Yeah. Yeah. So the liberation came from the loss of interest and the need to be liberated. So I'm liberated from that idea. Yeah. So a lot of the liberations are from old ideas and misunderstandings. Yeah.
Hmm.
You're not free running around and going crazy. You're free. Yeah, just whatever. Yeah. From those old ideas. Your life isn't based on them anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the whole atmosphere can change, you know. I don't feel like I wasn't available to other people's acceptance of me after 6 or something. Yeah, or actually after my grandmother passed away. Yeah, that she was a symbol of acceptance to me and love. Yeah. Uh, what took her place was the head, basically, and that wasn't. It didn't have the same atmosphere. It was more punishing and critiquing. Yes, and really I felt like there was something wrong with me and it was bad. It wasn't not just something wrong with me like a broken toy, but I was a good toy that broke myself or some weird fucking thing. And then I had forgotten a sense of what, you know, I'd been living in different, let's say, atmospheres as I lived. Then I entered the world of the non-duality, and then I sensed over time uh, it was more like an accepting atmosphere. Yeah, it wasn't like uh, opposing something else. It was sort of like the screen lets any kind of movie appear on it. Yeah, yeah. It's not in argument with the movie. It's just the nature of a screen. That's it. Yeah. So that brought about a lot of healing to the action figure because the action figure was divided completely. You know.
Hmm.
Cognitive dissonance, uh, just uh, uh, just ripped apart. And then there was it wasn't like a selective loss of attention. It was a loss of attention of both of those crazy aspects of division. Yeah, yeah. So I couldn't put it into words what it's like because you know it can only be seen as what it's like for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what it was like for me and what it's like sort of for me now is they're two completely different species. They couldn't have been taking one species to be true. It could have been uh, you know engineered to turn into the other species. It had to be a completely new, yeah, unknown, unsuspected, unimagined event. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. I thought because if I was included, there would have been a lot more ceremony and
Um,
and fireworks. It wasn't isn't like that at all. Completely. You know, I thought I'd be at the cliff with my old girlfriends and my hopeful new girlfriends looking at my hair blowing in the wind of surrender and you know being the center of it all as always. No, no.
But
Yeah.
but seeing what you're not seeing the head, seeing those tendencies. I mean, they're kind of natural manifestations and expressions of human existence. They, including a lot of their insanity, continue on in a certain way, right? It's just
Yeah,
that
they
we are
continue.
not That's not where our attention, yeah, where we sit.
They continue on, but they don't have the effect they have
Right.
because obviously they had no power to wield. They were sort of usurping a power and directing it to their end, so to speak. Yes.
Yeah.
So you would have a thought, and it would compel an action, and then there would be consequences. And those consequences, it would be as if you appeared on flypaper and every move got you more stuck. So you would get loaded, the cops would show up, you'd be arrested, you'd have 3 years of going to court because you had 5 other arrests in a couple of months, a lot of urinalysis, a lot of this, a lot of that, tons of consequences. Yeah. tons of consequences. So it's almost as if the mental state desires life. Yeah, it wants to make a splash out here, and it can't do it without us. Yeah, it needs there's got to be a compliance. See, like, it's just like, Candida. You ever hear of Candida?
Yep.
A lot of people have had a lot of trouble with that. And Candida is sort of like a fungus that lives in the body, and it has a desire. Its food is like sugary stuff, easily broken down into sugar. And so it's in a very bad situation with an agenda because it's in someone's gut. Yeah. It can't order out for entamines to be sent over and shit. Yeah. So it has to go have an incredible strategy to jack into the head of the host to convince the host to get some donuts, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the craziness with the self-centeredness is the seeming host of the story will think they're a great donut lover. They'll make a huge story about loving donuts, and the compulsion of the donuts is coming from Candida.
Mhm.
That's insane. Yeah. That is more revealing than an 800-page book. Just look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens when that membrane of appearing or not appearing is broken? It produces consequences in time. I know people in San Quentin, a prison here, that killed someone in a blackout. So every day they wake up in San Quentin and they don't remember what brought them to San Quentin. They have no idea. Can't go back there. Blacked out. Yeah. Just was loaded and had a huge consequence. That's what was so surprising when I got run over by a car. Yeah. I thought, oh yeah, my actions have consequences. And then suddenly that game got re-upped. I mean, I got run over twice in one night. I couldn't fucking believe it. It was over my pay scale. Yeah. I thought, yeah, I got in trouble and shit happens, but getting run over completely flipped the system out completely. It was like, what? Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the point is, the loss of interest is almost the rocket fuel being taken away from that which wants to break this membrane of appearance and non-appearance. Yeah. It takes away the fuel for those things to occur. Yes. Yeah. And then something else expresses through, and something else gets the rocket fuel. And maybe what will be expressed is empathy, compassion, service, wisdom, comedy, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Where does it's not the thought, it's the my of the thought. Yeah. It's not the feeling, it's the my before the feeling. That's the vague, that's where the meaning is. That meaning gets injected to what comes after it. And then we get hit by what comes after it. Yeah. And we think it's that which came after it that hit us. We're totally out to lunch. It had nothing to do with that. It doesn't have to do, the thought is the vehicle. The my is the punch. Yes?
Yeah.
You're not going to stop thinking because you never started thinking. Thinking is a fucking activity. You didn't choose it. Yes?
Sure. Yeah.
You didn't, I want a life of thinking. No, there was no choice. It's programmed. It's an activity. This is the drench of volition is what gets us stuck on the flypaper. I swear to God. We think we did it. We did this stuff. We're not doing it. Yes? We're not doing it. Yeah.
The part about the sugar too, my wife struggles with candida, and when she goes into some kind of sweet craving or has had a little bit of a sugar, I tell her she looks murderous sometimes. So
well, exactly. Yes. If they're behind you in line at Entenmann's, forget about it. They're fucking
There's like, there's I need something sweet, and there's I need something sweet. That face comes out. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what happens. There's a bridge between what's happening to being the one that's doing it. That's all mentally manufactured and maintained, always. Yeah. They don't have anything to do with each other. Truly. Yes? Yeah. You're not going to understand that. That just goes somewhere else in you. This head will not understand this. This head is completely convinced that if there's a doing, there must be a doer. It's just, why would you want to try to, put a doorway into a rock? Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Right. Your
Yeah.
pet rock. Yeah.
Yeah, just move on. Move on. Yes, yeah. Now it can express stuff. Yeah, that's not of it. And it can observe those expressions. And that's where the change occurs in the traveling lighter. Yeah. You observe over time something is working that you had nothing to do with, really. That it's a forced humility on the mental condition. It just can't reach far enough to claim it. Yeah. There are some grace, there's moments of grace and stuff that can't be claimed. They can't. It just doesn't, the thing doesn't have the arm to reach it. So basically, in your innermost that nothing has done for you what you couldn't do for yourself. Yes?
Hey,
And now that
no.
becomes the new narration of your life. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
The old narration gets replaced with a newer narration. You're not the narrator, yeah, but this narration is nicer to listen to than the old one. It is, yeah. And it has win-win, not win-lose. It has some qualities the other narration doesn't have at all and will not have. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think it brings out the best of us, really. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, David. And we've got Clifford in Chiang Mai.
Clifford in Chiang Mai.
Hey, Paul.
We got Mike in San Francisco. We got a new in India. All right. Clifford in Chiang Mai.
Hey, Paul. How you doing?
Good, my friend. You?
Yeah, I'm okay. Not so much a question. I just wanted to kind of connect a bit. I've been a bit distant, and a question, it's kind of a question. It's to do with awareness, and most people I speak to when we talk about awareness, they're talking about kind of what I call psychological awareness, which is a kind of it's an interpretation through the brain, so but I think it's different from I don't think it's a great word, pure awareness, but pure as opposed to purified. Purified, it sort of implies that it can get better, but there is some kind of pure awareness that that happens now and again that appears not to come through the brain. It's just an acceptance of what is. The brain will come in afterwards and say this is good or bad, it's going to kill me or make it good for me. Just wanted your take on that, on what I see the difference between pure awareness, is perhaps it's not the greatest word, and psychological awareness.
Yeah, I think maybe a certain psychological knowing. I wouldn't call it awareness. Yeah, I think awareness is not something that's directed and pinpointed, but it's expansive. It's a space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The things that seem like directed and pinpointed and focused, I wouldn't say that is awareness in a way. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think there isn't the act of awareness being aware. That's the nature. Yeah. It's just, Yeah, yeah. So again, we as action figures, seemingly, we would never be at the moment of awareness as the action figure, because as we spoke, it's on a time delay. Yes.
Mm.
So, but there can be an awareness of that. There's an awareness that there's a time delay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But there is no you that's aware. And I don't see that there's impure awareness and then pure awareness. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like starting to put like black and purple and white belts in karate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Impure awareness. That's when I'm looking at dirty pictures or the what, you know. And then it's pure awareness when I'm looking at saints' pictures. You know, it's just
Do
awareness.
people do that? Do people look at dirty pictures?
Do they?
I don't know. I've heard a rumor. Why would they want to do that with their impure awareness?
That's right. Now the pure awareness is impure based on the usage. I would say, awareness doesn't take on the qualities of what it's aware of. Yes?
Yeah.
So I don't know about pure and stuff. I don't know. I get confused with all that. The funny thing was, I wasn't years ago, but now I am. I've been dumbed down more and more.
You're aware that you're confused.
Now I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by like the pure.
I don't see something that becomes so obvious. I don't feel like it needs to be established. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to. It's like, you know, you're aware that you're confused about this, but it's not a fucking issue.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just like I turned 60 about 3 days ago, and I had 2 days of almost depression, until I see it, you know, and it was like, but a little layer of honesty below that level of honesty, if you like, is that there's still a bit of depression there, but it's just not as important.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get depressed. The action figure gets depressed.
Yeah.
Well, there's a huge difference in that. Why wouldn't it? The action figure lives on hope and expectations.
Yeah.
And yet it has final forecasts already set up before you get there. Yeah. So it's always disappointed. This whole thing of like some people tell me I'm not going to judge. The whole programming of the action figure is based on judging.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy to me. So yeah, of course it gets bummed out. Yeah. You have an idea that 60 it means something, so you get bummed out by that meaning. Yeah. It's not you. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a few days build up, like 2 or 3 days build, because I have to go through the Christmas period and New Year. You know, soon it's going to be January the 2nd, and I'll be 60, and perhaps arthritis will set in on the morning.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank God you see that, bro. Wouldn't want to be looking from it.
No, it still touches me. It just doesn't overcome me.
Exactly. So when you're looking from it, it demands a lot more stuff. When you're seeing it, it demands very little. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I could feel the schemes for, you know, on January the 2nd, I'll take loads of fish oil and meditate more and
fish oil. Yes. Just go into a state of denial. That's all. It's all right.
Yeah.
Start buying pants you don't fit in and shit like that.
Yeah.
Get some tie-dye stuff. Yeah.
I've started to pretend not hearing people already. Pardon?
That's helpful. Yeah. That's not helpful. What? Yeah.
That's
Hey,
quite
you,
fun.
you know, there's a great boon waiting for you very shortly. Yeah,
What, the bus pass?
well, you're getting into movies cheaper now. You're a senior citizen, and then if you can convince a doctor, you get a disability card for your car. Fucking great.
Yeah.
You can park wherever you want. So there's some great benefits coming your way. You should be happy, Clifford.
Oh, I am. I've already enjoyed shitting myself and getting away with it. It's
Yeah,
been lovely.
man. You got so much coming. Free parking when you come to America.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Free
Mm.
10% off, 20% off at places, at stores.
If I ever go back home to London, I'm looking forward to my bus pass. I'm told I get a
There you
travel
go.
pass.
Or in America, they don't do it now, but I got in early enough that I have a senior citizen pass to every federal park in the country forever. Yeah.
Mm.
Don't have to pay to go into any park. That's pretty good, Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
so
good.
you should be happy. You should write a gratitude list about being 60.
I've shoulded on myself quite a lot over the last couple of days. Shoulding has been going on.
All right, Clifford.
All right,
Happy
thanks, Paul.
birthday. Let's
you.
all sing Clifford happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
60 years old.
Happy birthday, Clifford.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
It's not so bad.
There may not be many more, Clifford.
Put that on your gratitude
Thank you
list.
so much. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Hey,
Right. Well, on that note, anyone else? Anu, how are you doing there?
Yeah, Robert figured out how to put his hand up.
Oh, Robert? All right. Robert who?
I don't know his last name. Medit. Oh, okay. His last name is Medit.
Oh, or Mehdi. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I had a question and a comment. You were talking about pure awareness versus unpure awareness. I guess I mean, in my head, that means, isn't there a mental version of perception? You know, like when you're living in what's not happening versus not living in what's not happening. If that makes sense. So, like you used to say, you know, that in terms of thinking, the trains come to the station, I just don't get on anymore.
Well, you're the station. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but the my comment is that I think there's a different way to live than being in your head all the time. And I think maybe that's what the gentleman before was referring to, is living with this constant noise about what you should do and shouldn't do versus living free from that noise. And you're saying that basically if you disown the thoughts, are not your thoughts, are just thoughts, that you're free from that. And I think that's true for some people, but like you said, for Ramana, you know, offered self-inquiry for people for that wasn't truthful. So basically, self-inquiry is a way to get off the train once you're on it, to hop off and gain a fresh perspective. And I think the process of self-inquiry is, if you keep doing that enough, eventually you can detach, like you've done, you know.
Well, the thing is with when you get off the train, it tells you never were on the train, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
So sooner or later, getting off the train finally triggers that convincing that you were never on the train,
That's
which
true.
includes having to go through getting off the train. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So there's value in everything, really. So you see it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I want to end tonight, eh? Or do we have any more questions? I think I just fell out of the thing. Hold on. Hey, can you hear me, Mike?
We hear you.
Good. I lost the. I've left Zoom somehow.
What happened? Had to go away.
I just left Zoom. Oh, here I am again. I had left Zoom somehow. I got sucked into a Tupperware channel. Yeah. I'm back.
Buy anything?
Hermetically sealed.
Did you buy anything?
No, I was bidding. It was bidding. Yeah. All right. Hey, well, let's say hello and goodbye to everyone. Mike, again, thank you for all the service. And yeah, we're going to have a live meeting on Saturday. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning on that for the rest of January, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We got David S. from Melbourne. Nice to see you. Yes. We got Sanda from India. There she is, having a little soup. We got PK. He's got his head in his hands.
Hey, one thing I want to say, whenever I think of Candida, remember, whoa, Candida.
Right. That's
I mean,
right.
that at least puts a positive spin on it, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. All right, let's leave PK now and go to Anu. Nice to see Anu. Anu, you're still in India? Yes? All right.
Yeah,
So we
I'm
got
also,
Hmm?
thank you, Paul, for everything. Really enjoying the meetings. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Enjoy your presence. And Tej, nice to see Tej. Yeah, there he is. He had a birthday a little while ago. Yeah. He seems to have weathered it well. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Alex from Hudson Valley, as always. Patrick dropped in. Nice to see you, Patrick. Remember that, come back if you like. We got Judith. Yes, there she is. She looks like she's in a tent still, I see. Yeah.
Until 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. All right, honey.
Yep. The painter's coming in 2 weeks.
Oh, great. Yeah, well, we'll be
Thank you so much
seeing
for
you
the
soon.
meeting, Paul. It was, thank you for the meeting. It was off the charts. It's just
Off the
beautiful.
charts. Yes. Yes, well, we make it what it is and what it ain't. So I think Clifford was the real bell ringer there. Yes. Yeah. So
Our poet.
thanks, Judith. I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to meeting you, live.
Likewise, Paul.
Yeah. We have Kenneth from Vancouver. Nice to see you, Kenneth. Tommy. I never see him, but I think he's in Ireland. We got Gary C. Thank you for your donations, Gary, and everything else, and for your share the other day. Very nice. We got Johannes. Always a pleasure to see him, from Germany. David B. from Michigan. Pretty sure. I don't know where Robert's from. Where are you from, Robert? Mehdi?
From Florida.
Oh, Florida. Nice to see you then.
Thank you.
We got Jacob from Seattle, Steve from Germany, Clifford from Chiang Mai, a place I know well. John Ah, there he is. He's above Byron Bay. We got Vlad. Nice to see you, Vlad. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attendance and everything. Stefan, on having never left. Nicholas B. Nice to see you, Nicholas, there. We got Miles. We got Donna D. Donna D. Guest
Hey,
appearance.
Paul. I'm working, but I'm sneaking a meeting in.
Oh, good to see you, honey. How's Florida?
Oh, I love it. I'm really
Oh, good.
happy here. But I
Oh,
miss you. I miss you a lot.
We'll run into each other.
I hope so.
No
Good
doubt
to see
about
you.
it. We got William. I think I met William yesterday from Awakening Together. Nice to see you, William. Susanna W. We got Linda. We got some phone numbers. I don't know what they are. And yeah, let's say thank you, everyone. I'll see you soon, hopefully. Yes? Oh, wait a minute. I didn't get everyone. Susanna. Nice to see you, Susanna. Nice to see you, honey. Everyone, PK, everyone. See you later. See you,
Thank you,
Judith.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.